And welcome everyone. This is Boca Ben live, kind of the same format, but kind of new format as well. I'm joined by a special guest today. What? That's where you introduce yourself.
Oh, hey everyone. Ezra Stern from Greenlist. How are you?
Doing great. So we are going to talk about a couple pretty bombshell big esports stories, and then we're gonna dive in and hear a little bit about yourself. And you've got a pretty awesome project coming up. So would really love to hear about that. Just want to give a quick sort of shout out to the daily download. If you go to rexopportunity.com, you can subscribe, get all the great news stories right into your inbox every day, 8:30 a.m. Okay, so two big stories I kind of want to talk about. I mean, you probably heard of them; they're all over the news. But the first is Twitch is now banning gambling. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that previously there was a whole subsect of Twitch streamers that were playing online casino games, etc., slots, poker, this and that, for money on stream. And on one hand, well, what's wrong with that, right? You know, you're streaming. What's different than playing a video game than playing a casino game, right? It was hard to sort of make a distinction. However, the kind of backdrop of that is that a lot of offshore gray market betting platforms were paying people to play and win, and it wasn't authentic, it wasn't genuine. Maybe it's not even legal, don't know. And I feel like Twitch just couldn't figure out who's who and just said, fuck it, that's it, we're done with gambling, and they made a pretty blanket ban. So that's the story headline. Ezra, what are any thoughts on that? You're a pretty big Twitch user, right?
I tend
Same.
to keep Twitch on in the background. Yeah, it's my go-to for gaming, for podcasts, for chat. So I've seen the casino, the slots in the past, and I'll tell you, I didn't feel pressured to gamble on any of these sites. I enjoy watching. I think who's a big one out there? Mizkif. He does a lot of online gambling. I don't know if he was
Probably the
caught up.
biggest. XQC as well, yeah.
I don't know if he was caught up in the drama or what his take is on it. But the platform that he's using, I wasn't really influenced to use. I was really more interested in his strategies, his thoughts, and see how I can apply it to my own gaming, not necessarily copy his forum and his preferred casino. So I might understand where Twitch is coming from. They just want to avoid the whole controversy, so they wrote the thing off. But I think it's going to be a hit to their community members that really followed these streamers.
Yeah, so I think this is a loss for Twitch and a win for OnlyFans. I feel like that's probably where all this is going to end up anyway. But you're someone in your 30s. What about teenagers, kids, right? You feel differently when other ages are watching.
They put the restriction on 18 plus, right, for these types of channels. So anybody can click knowingly what what it is that they're subscribing to, but if they falsely do that, that's got to be on them. If there were better controls, maybe that would be another out. But I like the comparison to OnlyFans, where it's a pay to watch or subscribe for promotion type environment. So it's on the I know what I'm getting into, and I'm more than consenting. I'm subscribing to it feature.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's going to go. I mean, OnlyFans is all 18 plus content, right? So that is probably where gambling sites feel they should live. Listen, I'm always torn because I'm a very free market, let's not let people shouldn't be interfering with everything that we do type of person. So really, that side of me is saying, no, of course you should allow it. Like, again, what's the difference between poker and a video game? They're both skill-based games. How could you discriminate against one versus the other? And people gamble on video games too, so it's very hard to draw a distinction. But then I also just really see how sleazy some of these channels were, and really feel like as a community there was value to clean it up. So I don't know.
I could give you a
I
personal
can't decide.
story.
Yes.
I used an online casino, and they do ratings sponsorships to these rating sites, so gamblingpros.net or any of these sites. So if you Google review a certain casino name with these sign-on bonuses, you'll get excellent feedback, and then you finally get into it and they'll take your money right away. But it's a 3-month verification process where you have to give over a lot of personal information to the point where you feel like it may be a scam, and you won't find that out in the form of identity theft or other sleazy tactics that are used with your money. Or it happens to be the casino, I'm not going to name it, but took my money, took me 3 months to get signed on, gave me a bonus of, I think it was like 300% drop-in bonus. I won serious money from that bonus, and then they pulled the bonus back when it came time to pay, saying, oh, you were only supposed to use that towards slots. You played card-based games, so your whole bonus is null. And that was pretty much all my winnings. So I immediately pulled my money out, which took another 3 weeks. So there does need to be some type of regulation oversight of the industry. And if Twitch thinks they can be the at least not the flag bearer, but the what's the word I'm looking for? Not the cause that people are flocking to these sites. Again, I hear the thought. I'm just curious what it does to their user base.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, it's definitely not the end of this story. We're going to see a lot more coming up. So definitely one on that list of topics that are always covered is going to be that. So moving on, just want to add one more story that I also think was a pretty big bombshell. So G2 Esports, one of the biggest esports organizations in the world, certainly among the biggest in Europe, their CEO, Carlos Ocelot, as he goes by his game tag, he was seen partying with Andrew Tate. And I didn't really know too much about Andrew Tate. I just knew that he was kicked off all social media platforms for sexism and other stuff. And so I did some research and sort of understand what kind of person he is. And it's interesting. So the organization came out and essentially suspended their CEO for 8 weeks without pay. And then on top of that, which was already quite surprising that would happen, he sort of apologized. And then on top of that, it looks like Riot Games is not going to give G2 Esports a franchise, and there could be other repercussions. So I'm just curious, is this the most toxic thing now in the world? Is, in the list of bad things you can say or do, is Andrew Tate now way up at the top of punishable crimes? What's your take?
So I'm right in the camp of not knowing too much about Andrew Tate, and I think I want to keep it that way based on these stories. I almost have to be guarded in how I answer this, because I'm going to offend somebody in either direction, the pros and the fors and the againsts. I would say this though, it's maybe more speaking to the general trend of this Me Too movement, this coming out as associated with toxic behaviors, where association is enough to incriminate. And in a world of comments and feedback and karma, you're past judgment before all the details come out. So maybe there's more details that I'm not aware of on this story. But I think that the initial headline grabs views, and how the story develops is really lost later in time.
Yeah, I mean, he's made bad comments that women share responsibility in their sexual assaults, that they're considered a man's property. Going down that road very publicly on his social media. And then a part of me thinks, okay, but everyone who partied with Jeffrey Epstein is still up and around and doing whatever they want. Are we putting him on the same level as Epstein? And so I don't know. Part of me looks at sort of a moral comparison to people who are in this category being deplatformed, which are really kind of two. Trump and Andrew Tate seem to be the big two public figures that have been deplatformed by social media. And there's a lot of others that, aren't and really should be, especially terror organizations. And, we can go down the list of horrible people that are still on social media. So, yeah, it's kind of people just have decided that he's the worst person. And I'm not disagreeing at all. He is the worst person, but does the punishment fit the crime?
Yeah,
Okay.
again,
Hard to
I'll
say the
just
same.
reiterate, it's not it's not about what happens or how it unfolds. There's often details that come out or don't come out, and I'm not defending the guy, and I'm not defending his actions. I can't take things in a headline and in a Twitter world at face value anymore. I've just become too jaded to finding out weeks later that wasn't the truth, and and getting to the bottom of it.
Yeah. So our viewership just shot from 3 to 47. So it's like some sort of algorithm that as soon as you talk about Andrew Tate, it's it gets pretty explosive. So I think he is just that kind of figure, and we'll see. We'll see what happens when other celebrities are caught partying with him. If they're going to be the sort of the same consequences and punishments that Ocelot got, and I don't know. Really interesting way that people are taking this sort of secondary association with terrible people.
It's almost like an in real life algorithm that that associates you with that behavior and then bans you from the community as a result of that association.
Yeah. Okay. So definitely, if you have any questions, want to share any comments, feel free to drop them in on the chat. Always happy to answer anything about this topic, other topics. But we did you did you lose me? There I am. Okay. Now that we have you, I want to hear something. You got some really big news, pretty big project that's dropping, figuratively and literally, maybe. So maybe you can shed a little bit of light on what's going on with Greenlist.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you again for having me, and just I know that we spoke offline about this, and I'm happy to continue the conversation. But just a little background: Greenlist is a side hustle in the world of side hustles that I'm undertaking, and like most side hustles, I've lived in this corporate world doing work for others, and I've identified some pain points, some really targeted pain points in small medium businesses around project management, and using the experiences and best practices and certifications that I've attained. I've set out on a mission to help small medium businesses to grow and target, maybe areas of their business where they're really good at, um, and help them work on the business as well. So I'll give you an example of what I mean by that.
Yeah.
If you are a small business owner and you've got 2 or 3 team members, and you constantly are worrying about, how do I assign my resources? I've got so many jobs, I don't know where to handle them. This person went on this job, so he knows how to do that, but this other team member doesn't have the same skill set. So am I really locked into this one person who can do everything on this area and not on the other? The focus of Greenlist is to help take tribal knowledge and put it into process, share communications between you, your clients, and build a cohesive business unit that not only lets you focus on what you excel at as a business owner and why you went into business, but also give a greater experience internally, and that'll translate to customer experience as well.
Yeah. Okay. So just to kind of put it in a little bit more sort of layman's term, when people talk about a fractional CEO or hiring an agency, is this the type of thing where one of the advantages is you can turn on the tap and turn off the tap? You have a big project that needs management. Boom, you come in, turn on the tap, up, it's done. Or you don't need it anymore. You turn off the tap. You're not locked into hiring employees, long term to do these types of jobs.
Great question. This is more of a consulting engagement. So, healthcare has taken on an onerous role for business owners, where W-2 employees, up to a certain point, need to have their healthcare coverage, and there is additional expenses and minimum burn rates that need to happen. Um, a consultancy allows you to, as you described, engage when and where you want to. What this is not is augmentation. So I can join, or my company can join a part of your team for a little bit, but we're not doing the project work. This is a coaching, a training, a pulse check on where you are in a certain point of your project to say, hey, I know that you're the expert. What would you do here? What tool would you use to progress this? How would you sort this out? And the goal is to really give you that knowledge and that information for you to take to your team going forward, and help others with it as well.
And so typically what industries are you working in? Are you specializing in certain industries, certain projects?
So we're here in South Florida. South Florida has predominantly been a housing industry and a retail industry. So we're currently specializing in home services, your plumbers, electricians, contractors, somebody that can write a proposal and never follow up, somebody that can set a schedule and show up 2 days later, somebody that can give you one price and then show up with another price, and that really leaves a foul taste in someone's mouth, not by any malice, but just lack of having all the information available before communicating that. And then on the digital side, we're working with web developers and software developers. That's more of a thought product. There's nothing tangible to take away from it, but there is work that needs to be done nonetheless.
Awesome. Okay. And in terms of like company size, are you working with more sort of small, medium-sized businesses, larger corporations? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I have historically worked with larger corporations, Fortune 100, Fortune 500, and I'll tell you, they've got some level of infrastructure, I would hope, to address project and project management. And while there is an opportunity there, I think that the real benefit of these services are those with potentially less resources. So a small, medium business owner that doesn't have time to focus on the business because they're working in the business. And I work and partner with them. I offer them a free hour of consulting just to gauge what it is they're looking for, give them some initial tools. And if they really think there's a benefit of continuing the conversation from there, that's where we can roll up our sleeves and get into the weeds. But I think it is a for-profit business, but altruistically, helping people do projects better will lead to better community experiences. And when I recommend somebody or someone is recommended to me, I can walk away knowing that there has been a positive impact left.
Got it. So if someone like Andrew Tate, for example, needed some project management, it's not really going to be the ideal client.
I'll defer that to my PR department.
I only have to say Andrew Tate because I think as soon as we started talking about it, that's when the viewership numbers skyrocketed. So just to make sure we continue our ascent. Yeah, no, I'm just joking. Awesome. So let's just because we got to wrap it up soon. So the company's called Greenlist. What's the best way to find you, get a hold of you?
Yeah, so we developed a website. It's www.greenservicelist.com. And it's got some pain points on there. If you experience any of those and those conditions apply, it might be a good fit for you. And it'll give you some background into our approach, into our methods. They're not my methods. I work as a certified project manager from the Project Management Institute and have achieved several project management certifications. So if it could give you more information about what we're trying to do and how we could potentially help you. And if you are interested in continuing your research and applying it to your personal scenarios on the website, there's a link to fill out that will ask you some questions about what time of day is best for you and what areas you'd like to focus on for our initial consult. Again, risk-free, able to walk away with, at the very least, a little bit more knowledge and a decision of whether this is the right conversation to continue.
Awesome, rock solid. And because this is a gaming broadcast, let's just end it off. What games? I mean, we play Fortnite. I'm going to admit it. We do play Fortnite a lot. But what games are you playing these days?
So it's a great question. I'm on the Xbox One with a 500 gig hard drive, so a little bit behind generation wise, and I have to continually prioritize what games I want to play.
You could fit like one Warzone and that's it.
One Warzone. So I've been playing Fortnite with y'all when the opportunity arises. I just got NHL 22 that I've been pretty into. Playing
You know,
online.
23 is coming out any day now. Forget
Yes, that's why I got
Yeah.
22.
when. Okay. It's
Got to get my
it's
feet
free
wet.
on EA Pass, right?
It is.
Yeah.
And then there's a MOBA that I've been playing called Smite, which is interesting. I play the Conquest game mode, which is the default game mode. And yeah, the MOBA community is interesting. VGS commands leave you limited in how you can communicate, but you definitely get a flavor for the experience that some of these people have and the nuance that these types of games take.
Awesome. Okay. Appreciate it. Thanks so much for jumping in, talking
Thank you
about
for
the
having me.
news, sharing what you're up to. I'm Boca Ben, and there's no schedule now. I'm live when I'm live, and I'm not when I'm not, and that's it. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and have a great day.
Thanks, Boca Ben.